Hey, hi, and hello, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. Let's talk about Childish Gambino. This is America 5 years later. Hope you don't mind the microphone. Hope you don't mind the brick wall. I'm in a different spot, and this is like the best we're going to do. Looking like I'm doing a stand-up routine, even though I'm sitting down, which is kind of a rarity for a Fantano video. Childish Gambino, a.k.a. Donald Glover, his rapping, singing, songwriting, musical persona, or pen name as it were. I specifically want to talk about his amazing song and single, This Is America, which turns 5 years old this year. Yep, dropped in 2018 when this thing came out. I named it my Song of the Year, and I would like to go over in this video how the track has aged, in my opinion, and whether or not I'm still into it. As a bit of a refresher, I would like to just kind of highlight that when this song came out, for anybody who does not remember or was not like really paying attention, this thing was huge, a gigantic cultural splash. #1 song in the country. And on top of it, in the online community, it spurred a ton of edits and memes and parodies. I remember like even Nicole Arbor did a really cringe parody of it that so much of the internet hated. Where is she now? But yeah, what I'm trying to say here is this song was huge when it came out. It was massive. It was gigantic. Arguably the biggest single musical moment of the year, at least, based around one song. Not just, popular, not just well listened to, not just well liked, like any other pop or mainstream hip hop song may be. It was actually a subversive track too. Not just mainstream pop, actually different, actually refreshing, actually trying to get something across. And I not for one single damn second regret naming it as my song of the year, and here's why. First, let's talk about some of the instrumental elements here. The beat on this thing, the production, is fantastic. Whether you're talking about the group vocal harmonies and chants on the front end with the acoustic guitar bits, which are beautiful, or when the beat really kicks in, you get those crisp trap perks, that gurgling bass. Like, that bass is so damn thick on this track, and it's a unique bass tone too. The hand drums are a really nice touch, and I love those wailing horror slasher film synthesizers that just stand up on end in the background, make the track sound even more creepy and unsettling. Sure, it's groovy, and sure, Childish Gambino is making some very cheeky and sly remarks here and there is an element of dark comedy to the music video, but the outlook on this track generally is not very positive. I would also like to point out that there's an interesting marriage of styles going on with this track. You do have those like very rootsy African music influences that play out very boldly at the start and very subtly through the rest of the track. And having those come together so effectively with some of those modern trap tropes, from the perks to the ad-libs, not only does it make for an interesting instrumental palette at the end of the day, but it also clearly communicates who the message of this song is tailored to. Because I have heard some criticisms of this track, not only when it dropped, but also over the years, that Childish Gambino, there's not a lot of rapping on the song. He's not like saying anything explicitly or like, really kind of spelling out what America is, or like really giving us a super detailed series of verses where he's like, really taking America to task and so on and so forth. But here's the thing. If he were to do that, for whom would that message be for? Because within the communities of people who he was obviously hoping to reach with this song, there's no debate about what the Black experience is in America, especially when you're talking about the things that he is very quickly referencing here and there throughout the track. Be that materialism, money, poverty, greed, be that violence, be that racism. It's only in white communities where there's truly a split in opinion on what those things mean in the Black community. So again, if Donald Glover were spelling all those things out, who would he be spelling them out for? Listeners who already understand what he's getting at, and listeners who will just be willfully ignorant toward it? Arguably, a lot of the stuff this song was reflecting back at us at the time has gotten worse. I mean, it's so hard to not get political with a track that is so overtly political, but look at those two young Black politicians that just got ousted from the Tennessee House of Representatives for being loud and standing up against ongoing gun violence in this country and seeking some legitimate and comprehensive and sensible gun reform in the wake of more mass shootings happening in this country every week. Not to mention also this song came out before all of the 2020 Black Lives Matter and George Floyd protests. Like, this track, socially speaking, was pretty on the money, even if it's not exactly spelling out what it is it thinks America is, because it should be fucking obvious at this point, because it's already so obvious to the Black community that this track was very clearly geared toward. Why it's not clear to other more influential and in control communities of people is beyond me. But yeah, throughout this track, I think Childish Gambino really makes his intentions clear. Throughout the song's lyrics, there's clearly a lot of attention paid toward getting money, and I said earlier, materialism. But I think it's framed in such a way where it's clearly a commentary on making money via fame or the attention of white people, which, I mean, Donald Glover is no stranger to. A fair amount of his audience is white. But the grand irony of Black artists making Black art with sort of Black audiences in mind, but then simultaneously things get subverted and co-opted and commodified in such a way where it ends up being mostly consumed by a white audience. That is one of the grandest paradoxes of this genre. And I think Gambino plays into it pretty effectively and creatively with a track that feels like almost a meta commentary on itself in real time. It's like when he put this thing out, he knew it was going to hit and that it only needed to be like a standalone moment in and of itself, which is why this track didn't end up like turning up on a Childish Gambino album. Truly a single in the most single sense a single could ever single. Taking the direction and visual element of This Is America into account, I like that this song as a holistic project kind of brings together all of Donald Glover's greatest talents under one roof. And 5 years later, I think this song is still fantastic, still on point, still accurate, still relevant, still necessary. Seemingly and sadly, it gets more relevant every year, and there's no sign of it having less relevance anytime soon. But all these years later, those are my thoughts on the song. What are yours? Do you still mess with it? Did you love it at the time? Did you hate it? Do you like it now? Do you hate it now? Let me know. Comments below. You're the best. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Childish Gambino, This Is America, forever.